On 5 News, gun horror. 3 people are shot dead near a swimming pool in Lincolnshire. It's believed a man shot 2 female members of his family before shooting himself. Also, the failures in mental health trusts are exposed. We reveal almost all trusts inspected in England have been told to improve patient safety. Helen Wills died on a ward. Her mother says more needs to be done.
She was there to be protected by people I thought knew what they were doing, and I trusted them.
Plus, the hottest day of the year so far, but warnings of a month's worth of rain tonight. And talking Trump, did Donald's wife Melania copy Michelle Obama with her big convention speech?
The only limit to your achievements is the strength of your dreams.
The only limit to the height of your achievements is the reach of your dreams.
Welcome to 5 News. I'm Danny Sinha. A man is believed to have shot dead 2 members of his family at a swimming pool in Lincolnshire. The local school was locked down whilst police attended the scene in the small town of Spalding. Witnesses said swimmers in the pool heard the shootings and the centre manager rushed out to find the victims bleeding on the ground. Well, the suspect also died. Simon Vigart sent this report from Spalding.
A plain white forensics tent protects the crime scene. An ordinary swimming pool car park where this morning 3 people, including the gunman, died. It's believed he turned the gun on himself and that his 2 victims were women. This afternoon, 2 members of staff were allowed near to the scene for a moment of reflection. The shooting, which is being described as a tragic family incident, has shocked this small Lincolnshire town.
Well, I'm just shocked. I can't say any other word for it. It's unbelievable, really.
Shocking. Well, the world's going crazy. A bit devastating. Nothing ever happens in Spalding. It's usually really quiet.
Paramedics were called to Castle Swimming Pool in Spalding at 9 this morning and advised to approach with caution.
At the scene, officers found a deceased man along with 2 women who had received serious injuries. CPR was attempted on both women, but I'm sad to report that both women have subsequently died. We believe a shotgun was involved in the incident and are currently investigating the circumstances of this tragic incident. We confirm that we are no longer seeking anyone else in connection with this tragedy. I can also confirm that no shots were fired by police and this is not being treated as a terrorist-related incident.
5 miles from the swimming pool, police stood guard outside the family house in Moulton. The shooting on a beautiful summer's morning has left people here in shock.
It's market day today and people are still going about their business in the marketplace, and you can't really believe something as awful as this has happened in the midst of it all.
So there is a sense of unreality to it?
Completely, yes. I'm sure that as the days go by and we begin to hear a little bit more about what's happened, then perhaps it will begin to make a bit of sense, but at the moment it just doesn't at all.
Although not yet confirmed by police, it is believed all the dead are close relatives and they leave behind a devastated family.
Simon, what else are police saying about the investigation?
Danny, purely confirming tonight that no shots were fired by police and that all of the people who are dead were known to each other. They won't release the names tonight, that's what they've said, but we believe that they are close relatives and the women of different generations. More details to be released by Lincolnshire Police over the coming days, but everything tonight pointing to this being a family tragedy.
Simon, thank you. A 5 News investigation has found almost all NHS mental health trusts in England have been told to improve patient safety. Inspections over the last year found safety measures in the majority of trusts were inadequate or requiring improvement. Our health correspondent Catherine Jones has been speaking to one mum who feels her daughter's life could have been saved if safety was a bigger priority.
Just how safe is the health service for those who are mentally ill? We've examined the safety ratings of the 36 mental health trusts in England with inspection reports published in the last year. 3 are the worst rating, inadequate, and 30 require improvement. Only 3 get a safety rating of good. Delving deeper into these reports reveals a shocking picture of inpatient care. Out-of-date emergency oxygen supplies, resuscitation equipment not checked or missing, incidents not being reported, staff shortages and inadequate training.
Little heart here Helen was wearing when she died.
Anne's daughter, Helen Wills, died suddenly in her sleep while under 15-minute observations on a mental health ward. A nurse had noticed her breathing was strange.
Her breathing startled him.
An inquest decided a doctor should have checked her pulse as she slept, and the ward's resuscitation plans were inadequate.
She was there to be protected by people I thought knew what they were doing, and I trusted them. After inquests are finished, the big people that should know better, they need to listen and learn. You need staff that really do understand these people are fragile.
Many failings stem from housing patients in outdated buildings, in rooms not fit for purpose, with blind spots where patients can't be watched, and unacceptable ligature risks, meaning they could hang themselves. The man from the Care Quality Commission in charge of inspecting mental health trusts told 5 News safety should be top priority.
Providing effective, compassionate care is important, but first and foremost, you must ensure that people under your care are safe. But it's not a simple problem, because reprovisioning the whole of mental health inpatient care would be an enormous task and require huge investment.
The Department of Health says the Independent Care Quality Commission has strengthened its inspections to make sure patients get consistently high standards of care. While that may result in challenging findings, it is vital that improvements take place wherever they are needed.
Mental health trusts have been really struggling and their budgets have been cut year on year over the past 10 years. But that's no excuse for fundamental problems like safety. Any patient should expect to go to hospital that they'll be treated in a safe and therapeutic environment, and that's what we want to see. That's what they should expect.
But Anne feels improvement only happens after someone dies.
That's all we get at the end of the day. We have lessons to learn at whose expense? Not theirs.
Safety should be paramount, but in too many mental health trusts in England, it isn't yet.
Catherine, the Care Quality Commission, they've given you an update about their inspections. I mean, what have they had to tell you?
That's right. They've given me an early look at something they're actually publishing on Friday, having now inspected all mental health trusts across England. And they do once again emphasise that there are many thousands of staff across England who are offering compassionate care, who are dedicated to trying to treat their patients well. But, just as I highlighted in my report, their key concerns are about providing staff not always providing care that is patient-centred, and that issue of care having to be provided in outdated buildings. Now, they actually say that can have a serious impact on someone's recovery from a serious mental health problem. The issue about buildings is at the moment the NHS is very much keeping afloat by postponing repair work and new building projects. So how that's going to improve, I don't know.
Absolutely. Catherine, thank you very much. Other news now, and police in Germany say they found a hand-painted flag of so-called Islamic State in the room of an Afghan refugee who attacked passengers on a train with an axe and a knife. 5 people were injured in the attack near Würzburg before the 17-year-old suspect was shot dead by police. The terror group released a video they claim shows the attacker vowing to carry out a suicide mission. Well, German officials say it's too early to say whether the teenager was indeed a member of IS. The International Olympic Committee says it's seeking legal advice on the possibility of banning Russia from the Rio Olympics. It follows a damning report by the World Doping Agency, which found Russia had systematically covered up doping in all sporting disciplines. And the International Monetary Fund has slashed its growth forecast for the UK for next year by 0.9%. The IMF claims the vote to leave the EU threw a spanner in the works on the global economy. It warned that the outlook could darken even further, plunging the UK into recession if the exit process turns out to be more painful than expected. Now, if there's one thing we've learnt over the past few weeks, time in politics moves very quickly. Only a week ago, David Cameron was holding his last cabinet meeting. Today, though, the new Prime Minister held her first cabinet. Theresa May told her newly formed team of ministers they will all have their role to play in Britain's exit from the EU. But it's not all about Brexit. She wants social change too. Here's our political editor, Andy Bell.
Same old cabinet table, some of the same old faces, but a lot here has changed. Most importantly, she is now in charge.
Politics is not a game. The decisions that we take around this table affect people's day-to-day lives.
With her Foreign Secretary at her side and those who'd campaigned to leave next to those who'd wanted to remain, she told them Brexit means Brexit. They drummed on the table to give her the traditional show of approval. So afterwards, what did they think?
How was it? Very good cabinet. Thank you very much indeed.
It's an excellent cabinet. It's absolutely wonderful. And they will all be excellent.
And was it dominated by Brexit? We talk of that.
No, it was dominated by the need for us to ensure a social agenda for this country. That's what we focus on, as well as getting the best deal we can as we leave the EU.
Another message from Cabinet: despite leaving the EU, Britain's door is still open. That may come as news to the American Secretary of State. Later, in a joint press conference, Boris Johnson was accused of telling outright lies. Watch Secretary of State Kerry's face.
Outright lies that I think few foreign secretaries...
People are more than welcome to rake over stuff I've written over many, many years, but I think the most important thing is to get on with the very heavy agenda we have before us today and to try and sort out, if we can, some of the intensifying problems we're seeing, particularly in Syria.
Along with her controversial Foreign Secretary, she is now reshaping Britain's place in the world after the US administration today, tomorrow Europe, as Theresa May heads to Germany.
It's no accident Theresa May is using her first foreign trip to go and see the most powerful politician in Europe, Chancellor Merkel of Germany. Downing Street described this as just the first conversation of many about Brexit, but Chancellor Merkel will be absolutely crucial for Britain's renegotiation on how to leave the EU.
Andy, thank you very much. Still to come on the programme. Vauxhall's car scandal. Bosses admit they knew about cars catching fire years before customers were told. Baking Britain's sweltering temperatures on the hottest day of the year so far. And did Melania copy Michelle? The controversy over Mrs. Trump's convention speech. All that and more after the break. Welcome back. You're watching 5 News. The car maker Vauxhall has been criticised by MPs over the way it responded to hundreds of its Zafira B cars bursting into flames. Vauxhall first logged a problem back in 2009, but it wasn't until people shared their own experiences online that the company actually recalled the cars. Well, customers say more should have been done sooner. Warren Nettleford reports.
So many Vauxhall Zafiras have now burst into flames, its manufacturers can no longer claim surprise. But for each incident, there's a personal story of shock, fear, and sometimes a lucky escape. Craig Hemming's car had already been recalled and modified by Vauxhall when this happened. His family of 6 were caught inside when it burst into flames.
It's quite terrifying. It's one thing being put in that position yourself, on your own, but to be put in that position where you and your partner have got to effectively sort of save your 4 young children is petrifying, to say the least.
Today it was the turn of executives from Vauxhall to be in the hot seats at the Transport Select Committee. They decided to say sorry.
For customers who've had the inconvenience, and we and Vauxhall and I personally am truly sorry of that.
They're saying sorry for a problem that began in 2009. Since then, there have been 300 similar incidents, many with passengers still inside. 200,000 cars have been recalled. It's cost Vauxhall more than £30 million. Lisa and Brian Adams are listening to the Select Committee closely.
You might not have identified the reason for the fires, but you knew there was a fire in that model. You knew that was the case. So why didn't you react to that?
They've got nothing to say.
Despite the engine being switched off, their Zafira burst into flames in February. They're angry it's taken Vauxhall so long to act.
They've been hauled up in front of the Transport Committee. They don't have the answers, really, and they're a big company. They should have answers. We should be able to rely on them to have answers.
I said all along that Vauxhall must have known at that time that there was an issue, but the fact they never said anything and carried on letting these fires happen until they had their first recall, that's disgraceful.
Vauxhall have revealed they'll be recalling vehicles again in August after admitting the issue hasn't been solved. Thousands of customers are seeking compensation. Vauxhall are attempting to rescue their reputation. Warren Nettleford, 5 News.
Hotter than Barcelona or Bangkok, today is officially the warmest day of the year here in the UK. Many of you have been enjoying the tropical temperatures, but brace yourselves because thunderstorms are coming tonight and they could bring a month's worth of rain in some areas. But for now, the mini heat wave is in full swing. Here's Layla Hayes.
When the weather's this hot, there's only one place to go. And in Blackpool today, they were soaking up the rays and getting a soaking in the sea. In London's Hyde Park, the water also came in handy, with tropical temperatures and a chance to have fun. In Birmingham, they were also finding ways to keep cool.
When the weather's this good, it's more like Barbados than Birmingham. But forecasters say enjoy it while it lasts. There's rain to come.
Grab it while you can, tops up, get the suntan, so yes, enjoying it.
I love it. Love it, hotter the better. Not over night time, but in the day, definitely.
I just don't like when the sun's in your eyes.
It's been a scorching day across the UK. The highest recorded temperature, 33.4 degrees in the Worcestershire town of Pershore. It was also a sweltering 33 degrees in London and Bristol, and 32 in Oxford and Leicester. In Wales, it was 31 degrees in Cardiff. And it was a hot day in Scotland too, with 28 degrees in Dumfries, and in Northern Ireland it was 27 in Londonderry. But while the weather's great for sun worshippers, it's bad news for those with asthma. Increased pollution and high pollen levels can increase the likelihood of an attack.
Yes, we do see that. I mean, our patient tells us that their symptoms get worse at this time of the year. They get flare-ups, they get even asthma attacks. And we do see increase in hospital admissions from asthma as well.
The advice is to stay cool and be sensible. Sunbathing on the motorway, perhaps not the best idea. At London Zoo, the gorillas have been keeping cool with the help of some ice lollies. It might be hot now, but heavy rain and possible flash floods are coming. This glorious weather isn't going to last. Layla Hayes, 5 News, Birmingham.
And just to say, Sean Welby will have the full weather forecast just at the end of the programme. Pippa Middleton is getting married. She announced her engagement to hedge fund manager James Matthews this afternoon. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge said they're delighted by the news. Well, Miss Middleton was the maid of honour, of course, when Kate married Prince William in 2011. Donald Trump is no stranger to controversy, but now it's his wife who's caught up in a storm. Melania Trump made a speech to the Republican National Convention last night, which many found remarkably similar to Michelle Obama's address to the Democratic Convention in 2008. Minnie Stevenson has the details.
Donald Trump has perhaps presumptuously started referring to his wife as the next First Lady of America. And it seems Melania Trump may have borrowed from, well, the current First Lady of America, Michelle Obama's speech from 2008. Here in her debut political speech at the Republican National Convention, Mrs. Trump appears to recycle some of Mrs. Obama's best lines.
The values that you work hard for what you want in life.
that your word is your bond.
You work hard for what you want in life, that your word is your bond, that you do what you say you're going to do.
And on young Americans having ambition,
the only limit to your achievements is the strength of your dreams and your willingness to work for them.
Only limit to the height of your achievements is the reach of your dreams and your willingness to work hard for them.
Morning, stolen words.
In the US, the headlines accuse Mrs. Trump of plagiarism. But ahead of her speech on American TV, Melania claimed it was her own work.
I wrote it and with a little help as possible. So,
as critics continue to compare the two speeches, the Trump spokesperson was forced to release this statement saying, in writing her beautiful speech, Melania's team of writers took notes on her life's inspirations and in some instances fragments that reflected her own thinking. One former UK government speechwriter told 5 News even claims of plagiarism has given the Trumps the publicity they want.
It could be because she has written it herself, maybe a little bit inexperienced in giving speeches, or it could be that her team have decided that they want to do it on purpose for a publicity stunt. But either way, it's definitely got kind of the speech a lot of focus.
Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.
One thing is for certain, today Mrs. Trump was centre stage, even if her critics claimed she was reciting someone else's lines. Minnie Stevenson, 5 News.
Well, that's about it from us. I'm back at 6:30 with 5 News tonight, when I'll be joined by 2 British athletes to find out if they think all Russian athletes should be banned from the Rio Olympics. Also, we'll be discussing Ghostbusters after online trolls targeted the film's female stars. That's all from us. Sean Webber's got the weather next, and I'll see you in an hour's time. Thanks very much for watching. Have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.